a video by Cynic, the Myth of Red Harlow, Red Dead lore. I think it is important to get the lore of the story, because it adds context. Okay, I don't want to play Red Dead 1 and 2 or 2 and 1 and hear the name Red Harlow and everyone's like, who the fuck is Red Harlow? We're gonna find out. I played Red Dead Revolver back in the day, so
Red Harlow, the character that started it all, the precursor to the massive Red Dead Redemption series.
he's such a cool
90%
character.
of people have yet to experience and play the original Red Dead Redemption, detailing the story of John Marston and how he was forced by
That's
the
my
government
guy,
to
John
hunt down his
Marston,
former
man.
brothers in arms as a way
Hell
to
yeah.
cleanse the sins of his life as an outlaw. An even bigger amount of people have never experienced the tale of Red Harlow, the quiet, stoic protagonist from Red Dead Revolver. The character and his story have become more of a mythic tale. A man who has only existed in stories retold by the many people that have been influenced by the exploits and grand achievements of this now mythical bounty hunter.
That is
Stories of him-
that is exactly why I have issue with Rockstar saying like, "Oh no, it's not canon," because like the character was so large and so big and had influence on like the current characters in the story that he's just too big to leave out and be like, that's just a folklore tale. Like, it's like, no, what? Imagine your favorite game and one of the most favorable main characters get pushed to the side. And it's like, no, that's just part of the universe. Not even part of the universe, because they flat out said, oh, that universe is different from the current universe. It's like, what? But yeah, he's just
are told at
badass.
campfires across Hennigan's Stead in both Red Dead Redemption 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2.
He used to tell me stories about Red Harlow. Yep, you've probably heard of him. Legendary bounty hunter bringing the savage outlaws of the frontier to justice.
And this was like the start, the inception of Red Dead. So the gunslinging prodigy.
At its core, the story of Red Dead Revolver is not entirely different from the games that come after it. It is unique in the sense that we see Red's origins to some degree. His father was a prospector and his mother was a Native American woman who hailed from the tribe called the Red Wolf Tribe. Now, Falling Star,
Red
Red's
Wolf
mother,
Tribe,
would go on to fall in love with Nate Harlow, a relationship and type of love that was forbidden from the tribe, resulting in Fallen Star being shunned. Having no other choice, she would move in with Nate Harlow and his homestead.
It's such a good storyline too.
Sometime after
Like
moving in with Nate,
it
they would
really
go on
is.
to have their firstborn son, who Falling Star, in a display of respect and homage to her heritage despite being shunned, would name Red to honor the tribe that she once hailed from, hence the name Red. Now in the prologue, it appears as a kid, Red had a great relationship with his parents. He's affectionate, talkative, and highly energetic, but most importantly, he's clearly very skilled with a revolver, even at a young age, which is believed he's roughly 14 years old here. Now, if that's accurate, then during the events of Red Dead Revolver, Red would be roughly the age of 26 years old, making him the youngest out of the protagonists of the Red Dead games at the height of his story.
I feel like
The
it
prologue
adds
of Red Dead
history
Revolver would be the
to
foundation of Red's legend. Immediately
everything
after discovering
Red
a
Dead.
virgin gold mine with his business partner Griffin, Nate and Griffin would commission the crafting of a custom pair of Scorpion revolvers as a way to
Sheesh.
celebrate their partnership and usher in their prosperous and wealthy future that's ahead of them.
You know what
You
you know what I find, I don't know, let me know if you're like a Red Dead fan and stuff and maybe you know the answer. Is this a reference to like God of War and Kratos? Cuz like I know Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 1, they have a bunch of Easter eggs and stuff, and we'll get into that, but I feel like if you play God of War, you know that the blades of chaos burned Kratos, right? His hand, his palm, his arms, his forearms. In Red Dead Revolver, you pick up the revolvers he just mentioned from a fire pit. So they burn his hand. Is that a reference to Kratos in God of War, or am I just thinking way too much about it. Also, it's just such a coincidence, bro. Red is my favorite color, if you couldn't tell. And also, I call my community the Wolfpack. And then here we go. You just heard, oh, their tribe is the wolves. His name is Red. Like it just feels like, I don't know. It felt meant to be.
Home to greet his wife and son. Red, a young boy, would marvel at the beauty of his father's new revolver, who tells him the Scorpion revolver would be his in due time, but for now, he can enjoy his tried and true rusty pistol. To go and practice with it down by the river, Red happily obliges. From the starting screen to Red's interactions with his parents, it's very clear.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Red
he's an
didn't
eager
need
and
the
imaginative child as
serpent
well.
revolvers.
It's a part of him that'll die this very day.
You
A
give him
victim
a
of
cap
tragedy
gun,
and
he can.
trauma, as so many of us have endured in our own lives. As Red is practicing with his father's hand-me-down revolver, his father calls out to him. A group of bandits are raiding a family home. A few of these bandits would engage Red in a few skirmishes as he starts to head up to the homestead, and each one of these bandits is gunned down.
This brought me
a
back.
sign
Oh my
of the
lord,
prolific
dude.
gunslinger he will be one day. Despite Red being able to
I
put
wonder
down
how
a
that
few
game
dozen
holds
of
up
bandits,
now.
He's unfortunately too late. His
Is
mom
it
and dad
outdated?
were killed, with their killer standing over Red, mocking him about his father's death.
Yo, I'm saying it now. We need a remake. We need a remake. We need a Red Dead remaster.
Him being such a yellow belly and all.
This would lead to a move that'll really solidify the legendary
Forget a Red
tale
Dead
of
Redemption
Red Harlow
3,
this
okay?
day.
Give me a Red
would grab his
Dead
father's new
revolver.
revolver that has been sitting in an open flame and fired a single bullet at the man who found his father's death so funny. The
Hell
shot
yeah.
wouldn't kill him though. Instead, it'll sever his arm and burn the scorpion carving that was in the handle of the revolver into Red's palm. Forever
I feel like
branded,
that's a God of
it'll
War
serve
reference.
as a constant reminder of everything that was taken away from him that day.
Someone please confirm that for me. But
Well, you did good,
how powerful is a revolver though? Because it took out his entire arm. That is
A few years
crazy.
later, Red appears to be a drifter, falling into bounty hunting to make an honest living for himself. His personality would mature and dampen with his older age, along with his own suffering. Gone are the days of him being energetic and talkative. Red only speaks when he demands information now. While he appears to resign to himself, he does keep a dog as a companion. Despite all his pain and possible strong desire to be alone, he hasn't completely lost his humanity. His story would pick up as he runs into a merchant outside of Twin Rocks who offers to sell him a few goods. Their transaction is cut short, though, by a local gang who inhabited whatever small shacks littered the local area. Red would
Look
quickly
at
kill
those
the man who
graphics,
threatened
bro.
him and the merchant,
That's back
resulting in
when
the gang's leader coming out to
game
finish off Red
characters
himself.
would
The
have
man is
hands
named
like
Bloody
this.
Tom. Not only does he have a bounty on his head, but his men have been terrorizing the local area. A discovery that Red only learns after he's quickly killed him and whatever remained of this gang. Now taking a keen interest in being paid for his part in dealing with them, he was
He's right, all by his goddamn
all the dead
self.
bodies onto it as proof to the sheriff of a town called Widow's Patch, confirming Bloody Tom is now pushing up daisies. Unfortunately for Red, when he arrives, Sheriff O'Grady admits he has nothing to offer Red due to his town's occupation by the Ugly Gang. Before anything else could be said about the gang
Ugly
or Red's
Gang.
possible payment, some members from the
Shit.
Ugly Gang would kill
I
Red's
might
dog.
I might be the founder of the Ugly Gang.
That damn dog gone leaved himself all over them fancy boots here. Damn varmint.
I might be a descendant of the Ugly
Red,
Gang.
in an
Because
episode
if
of
that
Calm Rage, would
describes
slaughter every member of
the gang to a T,
including their leader, Ugly Chris, who would use the sheriff as a human shield during their firefight. As with Bloody Tom and his gang, Ugly Chris would be a little challenged, but now Sheriff O'Grady requires medical attention.
I got
which
an
he can
uncle
only
named Chris.
receive in the town of Brimstone, a town that requires to be reached by train. With the incentive of being paid for Sheriff O'Grady's safe journey to Brimstone, along with receiving the bounty that was on the two outlaws' heads, he would accompany the sheriff to Brimstone to make sure he was breathing the entire way. And for the most part, the train was safe until a group of bandits randomly tried to stop it and rob everyone aboard. After an intense duel with a man who was planted on the train since its departure, Red would go on to kill every single bandit who set foot on the train by himself, including rescuing the train
What
conductor
a
who was being
legend.
held at gunpoint in the process. Not only would this valiant act guarantee everyone's safety and resulting in Sheriff O'Grady reaching Brimstone and receiving the medical care that he so desperately needed, but it was also a major blow to any bandits in the area who have been attacking travelers in these open stretches of land from town to town. Sheriff Bartlett of Brimstone would even take notice of Red's prowess and would begin to recruit him as a bounty hunter for Brimstone's problems. Never one to turn down some gold for wiping out the world's degenerates, Red would
Pig
gladly
Josh.
accept the work. He would go on to wipe out Pig Josh.
What is
and his gang of
this?
carnies
These
who had
names,
switched from
dude.
amazing crowds with their performances to now robbing and killing them. Once he's taken care of Pig Josh and his gang of clowns, he would then turn his sights on an outlaw by the name Bad Bessie. Bad Bessie was once a showgirl in the Brimstone
Oh, she
Saloon
was
until
annoying.
she became
I
disgruntled
remember her.
with her occupation at the saloon, where customers and the bartender would both make fun of her for her bullwhipping routine, something she was apparently very good at. Finally having enough, she would rob the saloon blind, go on to whip her former boss, and flee to an area known as Rogue Valley. The last of the bunch would be a man by the name Mr. Black. Mr. Black was the undertaker of the nearby town called Tarnation. It was once a lively and popular town.
Bro,
until
what's
all of
that-
the
what's that
residents
coffin made out of?
mysteriously died. Mr. Black now runs a gang out of the now
Ain't no
ghost
way
town
he's
of
carrying a whole
Tarnation.
coffin
But
by
just as
himself.
all the other
That
outlaws
might be
before
made
him,
out of
he was little
cardboard, dude.
threat to Red. With Pig Josh, Bad Bessie, and Mr. Black now gone, Brimstone and the surrounding area was much safer, but there was still one problem. Red has yet to receive any type of payment. With no official payment delivered for all the bounties he has dealt with, Red would be sent by Sheriff Bartlett to the Bank of Brimstone. It's here where he would overhear a conversation between the local rancher Annie Stokes and the bank teller about a gold mine up in Bear Mountain. Annie was struggling financially herself. Frustrated with making any progress with keeping her ranch, she would comment on how Governor Griffin has enough money from his gold mine up in
Fuck
Bear
the bank.
Mountain.
Take me
This
to
would
the
be
gold,
turning point
man.
in Red's story.
Hell
Here,
yeah.
he would no longer be interested in being properly paid for his services. Rather, he wanted the bank
I wouldn't
teller to
either
tell
if
him
you
where
did-
exactly Annie Stokes' ranch is so that he can go and ask her more about this rumored gold mine. Red would eventually catch up with her, but he just gets redirected to the saloon in Brimstone. As Annie put it, most men in the saloon talk about it all the time. He should be able to acquire more information out of them, as she knows nothing more beyond its possible existence. Now, for anyone paying attention, the reason why Red is so interested in this gold mine isn't for the monetary gain or even tracking down the wagon of gold
for his
that
dad.
was meant to be delivered to the Bank of Brimstone that is incredibly late. Rather, the gold mine up in Bear Mountain is the same one his father discovered all those
Yep.
years ago. This has turned very personal for Red. He would return promptly to the saloon. Once here, he overhears a conversation about a one-armed man replacing his arm with a cannon.
You didn't know him before.
Now this is kind of crazy,
Only a
okay?
cannon
This is
could-
kind of crazy. So the general, I think he was a general, the guy that got his arm shut off, I don't know, by Red when the bandits went to kill his dad or whatever, replaced it with the cannon. That's weird. Like. I mean, I know it's a early PlayStation game. It doesn't seem too far-fetched, but really? Really? You're going to replace the arm with the cannon? That sounds like something that a character from Crash Bandicoot would do or something. I don't know.
Replace that man's arm.
How'd he lose his arm?
I feel like none of that would happen in a current
You nothing,
Red Dead game.
stranger. Near as I can tell, we ain't even talking to you.
A bar fight would ensue, which quickly led to an all-out firefight. When it's all said and done, Red would be the only one left standing. Since he's the sole survivor and he is the one who started everything, Sheriff Bartlett would arrest Red for disturbing the peace. Now, this entire time, Red has simply been referred to as Bounty Hunter. He was a no-named, mysterious figure who not only barely talked, but barely cared for anyone to know who he was. Once he's in custody, it's here where Sheriff finally puts a name to this strange man. Upon hearing the whole reason of Red causing so much of a disturbance in the saloon is because he was trying to inquire about the one-armed man who killed his parents, Sheriff Bartlett would realize that this is in fact Red Harlow, the son of Nate Harlow. And he would go on to tell Red
You would think it would be obvious after a while,
in
right?
the direction
It's
of the
like-
people responsible for his parents' death.
Why would anyone
Beginning
be
with
interested?
Generalissimo Diego. 12 years ago, Diego was a
Generalissimo.
Army. During a battle against the U.S. cavalry, his forces were successful in staving
That
off
sounds
US
more
incursion
Italian
and
than
building the
Spanish.
bridge between the U.S. and Mexico. This would trap both U.S. soldiers and one civilian whose name was Griff. Initially, Griff was believed to be a spy. His execution was immediately ordered by Diego until Griff offered a deal Diego couldn't refuse. You see, Griff had just
What a
recently
rat,
discovered
bro.
gold
What
up
a
in Bear Mountain,
snake.
and he'd happily share it with Diego on 2 conditions. 1, he let Griff live, as without Griff he wouldn't be able to locate where the gold was. 2, Diego kills his current partner, Nate Harlow, replacing him as his legitimate
Damn,
partner.
dude.
Diego would accept the offer and send his second-in-command, Colonel Darren, to murder Nate and his family. As the beginning of the game shows, the plan didn't fully go as expected. Darren was mutilated and Nate's son, Red, managed to survive. But aside from that, the partnership between Diego and Griff, or Griffin, as he would soon become to be known as, went phenomenally well. At some point, Diego retired from the military and oversaw the mining of the gold mine.
The
using
story
slave
is
labor to
crazy,
extract the
okay?
resources, and every week he would
It's
personally
so
lead a
good.
wagon straight to Griffin's
I don't
estate,
know about the cannon
giving him
arm,
his
though.
half of the gold.
That's the only
Sheriff
thing.
Bartlett
That's the
would
only
tell Red
outlier.
he could find Diego and Darren in a place
Phenomenal
called Devil's Fork. But
story.
he warns him the wagon they used to deliver Griffin's gold is a fortress. It's also worth mentioning here that Griffin is no longer just a normal prospector. He's now the state governor. While it's not entirely a secret of how crooked he is,
Corruption.
his
Of
involvement
course
with
there's
Nate's
corruption.
death won't be
It wouldn't be a
discovered
Red
until
Dead
much
game if
later.
there's
For
no
now, Red's
corrupt.
sights are strictly set on Darren and Diego. As far as he saw it, it was their time for a blood payment. Red would succeed in reaching Devil's Fork and even destroying the armored wagon that was considered to be Diego's fortress on wheels. However, he's caught off guard and knocked unconscious by Darren. Darren was getting ready to kill him when Diego intervened and opted to send him to the gold mine for
Wait a minute.
interrogation and slave labor. Now, it
It
appears Devil's
kinda
Fork
looked
is
like he
somewhat
lost
within
both
the
arms.
territory of
I'm
the
not
Red
gonna
Wolf
lie.
tribe, the same native tribe Falling Star, who was Red's mother, hailed from. As Red's own blood cousin, Shadow Wolf, would see him taken away
Shadow
by
Wolf?
Diego and Darren. Shadow Wolf
I swear on life, I did not know. I did not. Well, I did play the game long ago, but I swear that has nothing to do with my actual current brand, like, name. It's like SW Shadow Wolf. Shadow Wolf Musashi. It's crazy. I'm telling you, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. The universes, the stars aligned, and it was like, oh. And it's all because I played Red Dead 1 like a month ago. Right? I played it off stream just to get the nostalgic feel and just remind me of how fucking goated that franchise is. But not only was the Red or the Wolves and Shadow Wolf, you know how epic that sounds?
would return to the elders of the tribe,
Shit,
asking
I might
for
have to play
permission
this game.
intervene and save his cousin. The request would be granted, and Shadow Wolf would successfully rescue Red from captivity. Together, the two of them would go on to hunt down Darren first. They would track him down in an abandoned fort.
Even with all
Diego
this
would
shit,
take up
Rockstar's
residence in
like,
Darren, and a group of men would
it's
engage
not
the pair in a
canon.
vicious gunfight, where Shadow Wolf would be mortally wounded by Darren. After a quick battle between the two of them and even stomping on him, Darren would then be killed by one-on-one combat between him and Red. With the death of Shadow Wolf, Darren has successfully taken every single one of Red's family members from him,
Oh,
from his
no.
father, his mother, and now his cousin. Red would symbolically take Shadow Wolf's dagger and go and plant it in the chest of Darren, making it look like Shadow Wolf had been the one, in fact, to kill him. Giving
What
his
a
cousin
fucking legend,
an
dude.
honorable death.
He doesn't
Warriors,
even
one
need
who
credit,
died,
bro.
taking his aggressor's life with him. Now, it was time to hunt down Diego, the man who may not have personally pulled the trigger on his parents, but he sent Darren to go and do his dirty work, so that he could fill the role of his father as Griffin's partner. With his gold mining operation interrupted, Darren killed, and a vengeful Red on his tail, Diego would
This
attempt
is-
to
this
escape
is
with a
like the
group of armed
John
men
Wick
in a fortress in a
version
train. Despite having a head start, Red would catch up, and thanks
of
to
a
the help
cowboy.
of a good Samaritan who was casually riding by with a Gatling gun, Red was able to shoot out the engine to Diego's train, where the two of them would have a one-on-one duel where Red would best Diego. In one final attempt, a coward's move, Diego would beg and plead for his life, offering the same deal to Red that Griff
How dare
offered to
you
him
call me
12
a
years
gringo.
ago. All this begging and pleading would just fall upon deaf ears, though. These promises of riches, these promises of women and beautiful weapons can't bring his parents back. Red would just coldly raise his weapon and end Diego with one gunshot to the head.
Sheesh.
Well, Red, you're good. I'll give you that. but of course you'd have to be to live through what you did. Still, I'm afraid that we're gonna have to end right here and now. What we should have ended so many...
Brother stole the golden eye from 007. What the
Content
hell?
with putting down those responsible for his parents' death, Red would return to Brimstone, and seemingly have nothing better to do than join the town's annual Battle Royale dueling contest. He would survive the first day of the contest along with other contestants such as Jack Swift and Annie Stokes, characters you helped or helped you along the story. And then there was Mr. Kelly, the reigning champion of the Battle Royale competition. Everything is going fine until the second day where
Like,
Governor
come on,
Griffin
dude.
would take personal control over the competition, disqualifying everyone except for Red and Mr. Kelly. He who wins here wins the competition.
Like, you know how
Red
cool if
would
this
manage
was
to best
canon
former
to the
champion Kelly, to
actual
which
Red
Governor
Dead?
Griffin would respond with his bodyguards by pulling out their weapons on Red. Griffin would even pull out his Scorpion pair of revolvers he commissioned with Nate 12 years ago, triggering a flashback with Red. Realizing the governor's hand in his father's death, Red, with the support of Jack Swift and Annie Stokes, disgruntled over the results of being disqualified from the Battle Royale, and Annie Stokes having her own personal vendetta against Governor Griffin and his stake on her ranch, the trio would launch an assault on his mansion. The three of them would take down scores of men. Red would even outduel Griffin's personal bodyguard. Finally tracking the governor down on the roof of his home, Griffin would share his regrets of not being there the day his father was killed, so he could make sure Red was killed that night too. But now, here
That's
he's been
fucked
given a
up,
second
bro.
chance.
It was
The two of them
just a
had
kid,
showdown
dude.
with Red being victorious. The game ends with Red discovering Jack Swift was killed, but Annie Stokes and a U.S. soldier who was being held captive survived. Governor Griffin may have deserved what was coming to him, but Sheriff Bartlett informs Red the army would soon be descending on the compound, and he'll be a wanted man for killing the governor. He then offers Red $5,000 in gold for all he's done, to which Red declines, saying it was never about the money. And he walks away with Governor Griffin's half.
You know how
of a pair of
badass that is,
Scorpion
man?
revolvers and his
Oh,
personal
you're
holster.
not gonna
And that is
convince
the
me
end of
otherwise
the
that
story
Jack
of
Harlow
Red
isn't.
Harlow.
I mean,
In the
Jack
events of
Harlow?
Red Dead
Red
Revolver.
Harlow
Well, as I said at the beginning of this
isn't one of
video,
the most
when it comes to
epic
Red
characters
Harlow
in
the events
game
of
history.
Red Dead Revolver, he's become his own legend, his own mythos within this game's universe. Whether if we ever see this character or not, it's nice to hear his stories retold from campfire to campfire in Red Dead Redemption 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Whether if we see any more physical evidence of Red, Annie Stokes, Jack Swift, Governor Griffin, or Darren, or really anyone else in Red Dead Redemption 3, at the bare minimum, I think we should continue to still hear this character's story. Personally,
Man,
I
I'm
would commit him to the
bro.
same realm and caliber as the Strange Man. When it comes to the Strange Man, it's
Yeah.
a little different though. Who he is, how he knows, what John does, what's been going on between John and
I was gonna
Evangeline
say
Dan.
that,
Was
dude.
he present during certain events, or is he a personification of some religious retribution that John's got to pay for? Red, on the other hand, is more of a folklore. Someone who adds a deeper sense of realism to the universe, as in our own reality. We have our own myths, legends, folklores, and heroes. Red is a tale of a bounty hunter who had everything taken away. He retreated inward, becoming quiet, resigned to himself unless action is required, in which case there's no hesitation or wavering
Man, I don't know,
of what
dude.
needs to be done.
See?
There's no remorse, no guilt, no emotion. Red may have been a basic character, but I'd argue in his own ways, he's definitely contributed a lot to the series. And he's even shown that with minimal storytelling, you can still be your own.
Bro, it's just it's not about how small the story was. It's about bro, I'm telling you, to me, the amount of disrespect to kind of brush off Red Harlow, a character like Red Harlow, in such a universe, and minimalize him as just he's just a folklore story, is so disrespectful. It's kind of like, you know how Nintendo has Waluigi there as just, I don't know, like a filler. It's as disrespectful to me, if not. I'm telling you, we don't need a Red Dead 3 right now. Okay, I if someone says Red Dead 3, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm all over it. Hell yeah, of course. But we need a remaster. We need a remake, and they do need to come out and say, yo, he did exist. Blah blah blah. Because there's a lot of theories. Because he just up and disappeared. Like, once he got retribution and revenge, or he avenged his father's death, and his cousin's death and his mother's death, he just disappeared. Where's Red Harlow? Where is he? You know, you got some people saying, "Oh, he is such and such. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened." No, we need definitive answers. Okay, Rockstar Games. You can't just do that. Can't just do that. But yeah, he's such a legend, man. And it's such a good story too. And imagine like when did Red Dead Revolver come out? I need to know. Red Dead Revolver. So the game came out in 2004. So for the PS2 and Xbox, bro. Oh my god. Saying that is crazy. That 21 years ago, and a story like that for that time is crazy, dude. Crazy. I know a lot of the elements in that story were kind of reused later on, like train heists and ambushes and robberies and stuff like that, but it's okay. The way they told it, and also obviously the ending of Red Dead Revolver, the whole plot kind of reminds me of the ending of Red Dead 1. So, yeah, but man, let me know in the comments below if you agree with my take that it shouldn't have been just brought down to like a folklore instead of like actually existing in the, you know, it's canon. They should make it canon. It should be canon, man. It just should be, because it's such a big part of RDR history. I don't know. But yeah, check out Cynic in his video if you want to watch it for yourselves. I'll leave it in the comment and the description below. Hell yeah, that was such a good video.